Colin was right.
Slinging Sammy D leads his division. Seattle leads the NFL in point differential. What's interesting with Sam, he's completing 67% of his throws. That's a career high. But he's also near the top in yards per attempt. So it's no dink and dunk. He's throwing the ball down the field, 24 total touchdowns. The last 2 years, he has more passing touchdowns than Josh Allen. So first quarterback ever, back-to-back seasons, 2 different teams to win 12 games, right on Sammy.
Slinging Sammy Dink and Dunk. Seattle Seahawks fans, you some real ones. You really are. I mean that. Things are about to get insane. I'm telling you right now, Seahawks have been successful, and so the fan base has been successful, at least within the last, million years, right? I'm not talking like Dallas Cowboys fans out here or like Carolina Panthers fans out here. Like the Seahawks obviously had their run, Pete Carroll, Russ, etc., Legion of Boom. So they're not like some complete, but that was a long time ago at this point. It was a chunk of time. It was a chunk of time. Now with the 49ers winning, the Rams are the 6th seed. Like the 1 seed is like not as solidified. You're actually technically losing the tiebreaker with the 49ers, but obviously you play them. And so if you lose to them, you definitely lose a tiebreaker. If you beat them, you then would have to, figure out the divisional. Then I think it jumps to conference. Like there's a real possibility that the way how this unfolds is exactly what Sam Darnold had with the Minnesota Vikings last season, with the Detroit Lions, where you win in the final game of the season. You're the 1 seed, you got the first round bye, you lose, you could drop down to the 5 or 6 seed. Seems like that's what it will be, the 5 or 6 seed. Seems like the 7 seed should be, in theory, pretty much locked in with the Packers. I guess maybe technically the Lions, but probably unlikely. So, that drastically changes everything. That drastically changes everything. Before I get any further in it, please, Seattle Seahawks fans, please do not forget to subscribe and watch the full length of the videos. You guys are one of the first franchises that really showed me the true power that you all have. That when you guys watch the full length of the video, when you subscribe while watching the video, views go through the absolute roof. And I can't emphasize enough, it's truly not just about, trying to just chase views and subscribers. I mean, obviously I want all the views I can get, all the subscribers that I can get. But it's really about creating content that people genuinely want to be part of, that they genuinely want to watch, so I can keep making the best possible Seattle Seahawks content that I can. Content that is firmly rooted in the sports world, unbiased and grounded. And you guys know, you Seahawks fans know, especially, I work as hard as I can to make the best possible Seahawks content that I can. And there's not always a lot out there. And I'll turn a 2-minute Colin Cowherd clip or a 30-second one, first things first clip, into a 20-minute conversation. And then it's a party in the comment section, so please keep at it. I'm really trying my best to try to get to 80, 90, 100,000 subscribers by the playoffs, which, to be fair, is kind of an insane goal. It's like, it would be like literally winning the Super Bowl. Because I want to be able to live stream the playoffs. I want it to be a party, man. I just want it to be special. And I think the more we have here, the more entertaining it is for everyone involved. I really see it as we, not me. And I sincerely mean that. I always refer to it as a community. To the point where my one friend laughed at me the other day. He's like, "It's funny you call it a community." I'm like, well, it is a community. When we watched the Seahawks, I was like, I watched the Seahawks win the game in this live stream, and we were all screaming. I was like, I'm watching this game with people literally all over the world, actually. Mainly the country, but literally all over the world. And it was awesome, man. It was awesome. Things are just gonna get crazier. Things are just gonna get crazier. There is a genuine Super Bowl path to win it all. to be fair, right now, the way how the playoffs are unfolding, it really just seems like it's anyone's game. And I made a Jacksonville Jaguars video yesterday talking about snorts, talking about how, because on First Things First, they were talking about how the Jags, they can get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl because, like, look who they have to play against. It's all like younger quarterbacks or unproven quarterbacks, et cetera, et cetera. And I came out and said, listen, I've talked like that as well throughout the course of the season, made similar statements, although I think I, structured it in a slightly different way, but I was just like, in a way, we're kind of devaluing what with how the Jags look right now, and that, like, even if they were going up against the Chiefs, like the 23 Chiefs, the 23-49, like any of these other teams that we know are a little bit more like rooted in success here. I'm like, the Jags can hang there, right? Like, it doesn't have to be like, well, you're going up against Bo Nick, second-year quarterback Drake May. Like, no, like this team is legit. And it's the same thing with the Seahawks. But to be fair, and it's not like I'm not going to act like I have the exact rankings in my head. There's clearly going to be clearer paths for these teams, right? It's just like, I do truly believe from the bottom of my heart that, like, these teams that are in the playoffs right now, the Seahawks, the Rams, the Eagles, of course, snorts. I can't think of any other team right now. The Patriots, like, etc. I genuinely see paths for them to win the Super Bowl, undeniably. And I really am so excited the prospect of, like, the playoffs going down. And I had a feeling that the bit that the Ravens were going to beat the Steelers, that the Eagles were going to beat the Packers, right? Like, I'm just like, I got a pretty good sense of how these games are going to unfold. I'm like, I like it. I like the chances here. Even when it was like an outlier, when I was like, I like the Commanders and Jane Daniels over the Bucks. Like, I couldn't believe everybody was acting like that was going to be some impossible game. And, I was right. Just saying. But this year, I have no idea. When I try to think of all the matchups, and because I already kind of get a lot of angst about it, because I'm just like, I got no idea. But I'm looking at all the various outcomes of what the seeding can be, and I'm like, dude, if this team faces that team, I'm like, I don't know. And I love it. I love to not know in those moments. I really do. And the Seahawks are going to be part of that as well. But with the 1 seed, it always holds power. Obviously, it's the 1 seed. You have the home field advantage, etc. I just think for the Seahawks right now, that's everything. It's not to say you can't win on the road. It's not to say that you can't still get to a Super Bowl if you're the 2 seed or 3 seed, or obviously, I guess you couldn't be the 3 seed, but like whatever it is, I guess you could technically be the 2 seed because the Bears could jump there. So, I guess there's still a lot on the table technically. But getting that bye, getting home field advantage, protecting the youth of this team, because this is a young team. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Sam Darnold. It's not like that he's young in the traditional sense, but it's his age. It's not like he's established where he's been playing as a starting quarterback for the last 5, 6, 7 years in the playoffs, etc. Right? Like, he's young in that regard. Clint Kubiak has not been calling plays in big time playoffs. Neither has McDonald, honestly, as a head coach. And so, like, being at home goes a long way. It really does. It really, really does. Getting that by being the one in control. And you really have some interesting potential matchups that, if there's any upsets, like, you're in a great position, even if there isn't upsets. But if there is upsets, and I won't throw out other, names out there, other teams out there, but you're just really in a position of getting an incredibly favorable matchup up against a potentially, like, pretty beat up team, or like a decimated defense, whatever it may be. And, like, now you're a game away from the Super Bowl. You're now in the NFC Championship game. Like, it's just, you get this by, it's literally, like, potentially, like, in the blink of an eye. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you have a divisional round that you just roll that team. Again, obviously depends on the seeding and who you get, in terms of, who wins the wild card round. But, like, you would be in an absolute awesome position in a blink of the eye to be like, we are in the NFC Championship game now, and again, depending on obviously the seeding, I know I'm a broken record there. It's like, I don't know who it is, what the story is. Maybe you're playing the Ram, like, I don't know. You could be playing the Rams technically for the first round. You could find yourself in a situation where you could play them. Um, it would probably be harder to be in the first round, but the second round. Um, and so, which I know you beat them, but that'll be a crazy competitive game. Um, third time's a charm in the NFL for sure. But I mean, you're going to go up against the 49ers to finish up the season. Maybe that game ends up not mattering. Maybe it's hard for me to see how it doesn't matter, but it probably will matter. And then you can see kind of how you fare against this, pretty broken defense. I mean, we just saw what Phillip Rivers did against that defense. But that offense is looking legit. But that offense hasn't faced a great defense in a while. And last time I checked, the Seattle Seahawks have an awesome defense. Like, it's just kind of chaos right now. It's just kind of chaos. You could find yourself in a situation. It would probably be a little harder because I think the Seahawks would have to lose a game, but there is a possibility where you could face the 49ers back-to-back weeks, the final game of the season, and then the first round of the playoffs. It's possible. Probably unlikely, but it is possible. There is. And it's not like the craziest path. Like, I just think you would need to lose your next game, and the Bears would need to, essentially the Bears would have to get the 1 seed, you get the 2 seed, and then, you're then playing, maybe the 7. Like, it's probably unlikely. You'd probably have to drop down to the 3 seed, which then I guess the Eagles would have to leapfrog you, but then I think you'd probably then have to lose to the 49ers to then play them. But if you lose to the 49ers, and the 49ers could then jump up, so like it's probably unlikely. You'd have to really, do the math there. But what I'm really just trying to emphasize is that, like, you're in it. You're in it, and it's really kind of crazy. So you're obviously the king at the top. You got the 12 wins. Now the 49ers are at the 5 seed. They have 11 wins. The tiebreaker is a little weird for the Rams and for the Seattle Seahawks and the 49ers because they have the tiebreaker now. But you play them again, and if they beat you, probably doesn't, matter at that point because you'll probably then be in a position then you lose the tiebreaker, so you lose out on the tie for them. Whereas the situation right now with the Rams, you should in theory have the tiebreaker with the Rams if you're tied with them, I think, unless you lose out. But if you lose out, then you're probably already going to lose the 1 seed anyway. It's just then the Rams they probably have 2 easy, I shouldn't say 2 easy wins, but they should win. If they lose those 2 games or one of those games, like that would be a pretty shocking loss. Whereas the 49ers have the Bears and then the Seahawks, and then the Seahawks play the Panthers. And the Panthers are, I don't know, a tricky team. They beat the Rams, right? I mean, like they're winning the division. It's 8 wins, but they're winning the division. So, I don't know. Stranger things have happened. And if you beat the Panthers and the Bucks win, they're back to tied, and then the Bucks could find themselves in the playoffs, which then also has, legitimate playoff repercussions because the Bucks then play the 5 seed, and I don't know who has a better chance to win a playoff game, Baker Mayfield or Bryce Young, and then it's like, and that could have, depending on again what other, if you have the 1 seed now for the Seahawks, like you find yourself in that unique situation where you could either, again, obviously depending on how it officially unfolds, if you're the 1 seed, you're getting the lowest seed there. It's just like it's just you're trying to move multiple steps ahead, and it becomes tricky, but it's just nothing is even remotely settled right now. Nothing. And it's just literally just making my brain want to explode right now. And that's why I'm just like, you know what? You want the 1 seed, you want the bye, you want home field advantage. And I just feel as though, because again, let's say this is exactly how it was. This is just the way how it gets solidified, which is quite possible. Quite possible. The Rams, although it seems like if you do get the 1 seed, you'll probably have to beat the 49ers, which means there's a great chance that the Rams switch with the 49ers. So we'll just kind of switch them back. You're just in the position then where if the Packers upset the Bears, which is completely possible, you're now getting the Packers at home. If the Bears take care of the Packers, then you're back to being in a situation where it kind of then will come down to what happens with the Eagles and the Rams, what happens with the Panthers and the 49ers. There ends up being kind of like endless possibilities. Like, this is what I'm trying to highlight. If the Seattle Seahawks have the 1 seed, there is a great chance that this is how this will unfold. Really, the way how this probably doesn't unfold this way is if Seattle doesn't have the 1 seed, and then it ends up being a different discussion. But Seattle, if they have the 1 seed, you're probably looking at San Francisco then staying at 6, and the Rams jumping to, getting 5 back, and maybe Carolina and the Bucks, switch out. But, that becomes a little bit less relevant. But you have the Packers and the Bears game, which I think will be a legitimate game especially as long as Jordan Love's there. But who knows? Malik Willis still, even though. But that team is hurting. That team is hurting right now. But if the Packers pull off that upset, then you're playing the Packers. You got to like that matchup. If not, and the Bears win, that's fine. You're then in this kind of, pretty interesting scenario where if the 49ers upset the Eagles, then you'll be playing the 49ers. But if not, if the Eagles win, then the Eagles are going to be guaranteed to play the Bears, and you play the winner of the Rams and the Panthers game. It's like, in a lot of ways, I still feel as though the hardest team that you want to play, that you want to kick the can down the road, is against the Rams, because again, it's a team that you're not going to play 3 times. But I mean, I think then there's the potential that the Rams end up being the only team that could stand in your way, and if you now beat them, you're sitting in the NFC Championship game. So, and then you had just essentially had your hardest team, which is exactly what happened with the Philadelphia Eagles last year. They had a favorable matchup against the Packers, and then their hardest matchup was against the Rams. They took care of that, and then they had the Commanders, who they absolutely dominated and rolled. And yeah, it's just, we're right here in this mix right now. And since it still can be kind of a little bit all over the place and a little bit jumbled, it's just really interesting to me, because the Seattle Seahawks have the best odds to win the Super Bowl. That's how powerful that 1 seed ends up being for you. Massive. And if one of those 2 teams of those, little brackets upsets either like the Eagles or, the Bears, you're sitting pretty with a team that you would be really positioned to really get after in a way that you would feel like this is 100% our game to lose. This is 100% our game to lose. And I mean, if history is any predictor of the future, we know at least one of those will be some sort of an upset. It's just not hard to see the Bears losing or seeing the Eagles lose, and then there you are. So yeah, you end up just being a game away from the NFC Championship game, and then maybe you're in a position where you're going to be playing the winner of, maybe it's between the Rams again, because maybe the Rams get beat by the Panthers. They had already lost to the Panthers already. Like, I don't know, you could find yourself playing the Panthers in the NFC Championship game. You're going to tell me you're not going to like that, going up against Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers in the NFC Championship game? I mean, I don't know. Pretty crazy. So it's a little messy right now. Very hard to predict, because everything is just so up in the air. But I'm still having fun trying to figure it out, because it's just, what are you going to do? But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Snorts. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.